Hello and welcome to 70%. I'm James Cartwright, and today we're getting into something that, well, honestly, it feels equal parts hopeful and a bit unnerving. We're talking about the rise of AI in policing, right here in London at a moment when street crime is, well, it's kind of overwhelming. Let's be blunt. In 2024, about 87% of street crimes reported to the Met. So think shoplifting, vehicle theft, robberies, and, let's not forget, violence and sexual offences, ended with, well, nothing. No further action. No one caught. Just the case closes with a shrug. You know, you read that figure and your jaw kinda drops. 87%. That means for most victims, the story ends with a letter saying, "Sorry, nothing more we can do." And from what I hear, the frustration isn't just sitting with victims. Police officers feel it too. There's just too much coming in, too few resources, and everything bottlenecks. I remember a chat not that long ago, maybe at a conference in Marylebone, with a retired detective. He told me, "James, back in my day, half of what landed on my desk, I knew from the get-go it'd end up in a filing cabinet. Locked away, never solved. If we'd had AI, maybe we'd have had a shot at keeping up." That stuck with me. It's not that police aren't trying, it's that the problem's gotten bigger and the tools haven't kept up. And that's exactly why AI's got a lot of folks talking. Because it isn't just about catching the next crime before it happens. It's about giving police something more than spreadsheets and overstuffed files, something that can help them actually match the speed and complexity of what's going on out there. But yeah, before we get swept up in the hype, let's get into how this tech is actually working on London streets, and why some people are cautiously hopeful, and others, well, not so sure. So, let's talk real world. This isn't Minority Report, no psychic twins floating in tanks. What London's seeing is something called hotspot mapping. The Met's been trialling this in places like Croydon and Lambeth, areas that I know have seen their share of trouble with knife crime and robberies. What the AI does is, well, it hoovers up past arrests, CCTV footage, bits from social media. It finds patterns, almost like digital intuition, and turns them into crime maps, showing where and when trouble's likely to flare up. Now, one thing that's actually shown up in the numbers, Operation Venice, which is a name that sounds like a 1970s heist movie, I know, used AI-deployed patrols and apparently cut robberies by about 12% in 2024 where the pilots ran. That's not nothing. And probably more important for the stressed officers, this kind of AI means you can put your finite number of bobbies exactly where trouble's expected, rather than just wheeling them about wherever. But, yeah, there's always a but, I was chatting with a bloke in Croydon a couple of months ago, just outside the shopping centre. He told me, "I've noticed there are more police about, so it feels safer, but for the life of me, I don't know why there's 10 officers here at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday and none on Thursday." For folks who don't use tech or apps, it's like the police just appear and disappear. Some people love the visible presence. Others, maybe those with mobility challenges, find it a bit much. Suddenly, loads of uniforms and you're not sure if you're safe or under suspicion yourself. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? And this just scratches the surface. The Met's doing some hush-hush stuff with the Home Office too, a homicide prediction project for serious violence. But for everyday Londoners, what matters is, will more AI-driven patrols at the right place, right time, actually mean fewer unsolved crimes? Or just more unpredictability in their neighbourhood? It's very much an open question. Right, now, let's pull back and look at what's happening outside London, because these tools, honestly, they're not stopping at the M25. Avon and Somerset had a bit of a breakthrough. In 2024, they put an AI tool to work on cold cases, murders and thefts that hadn't budged in decades. It was something like 81 years' worth of detective graft crunched down into, well, 30 hours. Not only does that save, literal lifetimes of effort, it's pulled out new patterns, even flagged leads in cases everyone thought sort of dead and buried. And they're testing AI-assisted victim interviews with voice analysis, so interviews become less draining for victims and evidence quality goes up. Maybe we'll see more of that rolled out next year. Who knows? Let's not forget the Durham Constabulary's HART tool from a few years ago. It scanned through over 12,000 people for reoffending risk, and early on, it actually outperformed human officers. Got around 85% accuracy, if I remember right. But, and here's that all-important caveat, it ran into problems with bias, ended up being suspended, and now they're having another go with new lessons learned. There's talk of using these systems to link up unsolved street crimes to serial offenders, maybe cut repeat crime by nearly 20%. Big if, of course, but the potential's there. And nationally, Greater Manchester's trying AI for domestic violence cases. It's helping prioritise incidents. Apparently, increased charge rates by 7% last year. Of course, there's still a snag for people who aren't app users. If you're, say, an older resident or living with a disability, a smartphone alert you can't access does you no good. Some places are experimenting with carers or radios giving updates. And there's work, like the ScienceWise project, polling people to make sure, well, inclusivity and fairness aren't an afterthought. So yeah, AI's showing up all over, from hunting down grooming gangs to streamlining officer paperwork. The promise is fewer unsolved crimes and maybe, just maybe, safer streets for everyone. But only if we keep an eye on the gaps, especially for folks who could get left behind. And that's where we'll leave it today. If you've got thoughts, should AI be solving more crimes, or are we losing something human in all this? Let your MP know. Keep the conversation going. Cheers for joining me on 70%, and I'll catch you next time.